Hello? Who's there? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another unboxing. I feel like I've been doing only unboxings lately, but I have some plans for y'all. Some very exciting plans that I'm not fully ready to share yet, but this haul might give some things away already. Naughty. Anyways, let's just get in. You know, we don't have all day. This is a haul from Röllke, or rather, I guess now it's Ecuagenera Europe, because apparently this is really, I mean, who does gestures with a knife like this? Anyways, apparently Ecuagenera bought Röllke Orchideen, and now they're Ecuagenera Europe. And so if I understood this correctly, they do regular imports then from Ecuador, and kind of Ecuagenera Europe is then kind of the European hub that distributes all of these imports. I didn't really get any imports here. I got mainly like media and so on, because a lot of my plants are going to be due a repot in the upcoming year, and so I just wanted to be ready. And Röllke Orchideen has my favorite selection of media, kind of bark, sphagnum and so on. They have really good quality bark, different grades that you don't really find elsewhere. So I really enjoy getting my supplies from them. And since they also have really nice young plants and flasks for kind of potting up, I also got some of those. I got some flasks from them earlier this year. I feel like I should film an update on this video. I'll just put the video here and you can have a look at it there, and I'll post an update at some point. I guess maybe in December it should come out. And yeah, I got some more little flasks from them as well. I was not super straightforward to get this order because, you know, changing their systems and everything caused a few bugs, so they at first didn't even notice I placed the order. And then after a week I was like, hey, hello, and then no one replied. And then another week or so later I was like, so yeah, then it got back to me saying, hey, maybe don't use this email address, use the contact form on the website. But then the first time I contacted them was through the contact form on the website. So I don't know, I feel like things have to be reestablished. You know, it's all off the beaten path for now. They have to fight their way through the jungle with a machete to kind of get things into routine. But honestly, I'm really happy that they're still selling the old stuff that I know from them, and some new things as well, because for a moment there I was really scared they're not gonna stock my favorite bark. Like, can you imagine? I can't. Awful. Someone cancel literally everyone at this point. I'm getting way too riled up over bark here, but seriously, this bark is just so good. I'm not sponsored, by the way. Like, obviously not, because if I was, I'd have to disclaim that, right? And I'm not, so I'm not sponsored by them. Otherwise, the EU law would get me burned at the stake, you know, just like back in the good old days. Ranting for way too long here. Let's get started. I don't know how to show this. This is a really heavy package because I bought several kilograms of bark. So there you can see. So the splendor and the glory. Can you see it? So it's beautiful. So I'll set this aside for now, because that's a separate package, I guess. Hi. Okay, so I got some of their, so they have several grades of bark. They have like just Orchid bark, then they have Orchid bark plus and Orchid bark premium, and they all kind of have increasing prices, but also increasingly higher quality in a way, because the orchid bark is just like your normal bark. It has more of a varied size than the orchid bark plus. It's kind of more refined, and the orchid bark premium is like very solid pieces. So I feel like that would last in a pot for several years, whereas the orchid bark maybe wouldn't. So this is kind of the idea, and I used to use the Schwerter bark a lot because Schwerter was the first orchid nursery I ever ordered from. So I just ordered their bark and everything from them. But then once I tried out the bark from Röllke, I really noticed a difference in quality, because the Schwerter bark is much more water retentive, but that also means you'd have to repot much more often, because I have a few plants that are in this right now, and after 2 years-ish now, it's really broken down. So I will have to repot quite a few plants that I have, and I'll switch to this one, which I think is going to last a little longer. And the beauty then as well is that Röllke, or I guess Ecuagenera Europe, has, as I mentioned, different sizes as well. So they have from 1 to 5. 1 is like very fine granules of bark, and I really like this as a top layer on like Miltoniopsis, for example, where I have a lot of sphagnum in the mix, but then I want to have a top layer to prevent algal growth. But then I also have 2, which is kind of the medium-sized bark that I use for everything, and then also 3, which is this one, and that's already pretty chunky. I think I also bought some number 5 bark, but that's just like way too big. I think this is when you have like very old cattleyas, for example, or when you want to pot up maybe a Vanda or something. I don't know. It's not really something that I feel comfortable using with any of my plants, because it just dries out way too much. You'd have to water constantly, which I guess for cattleyas is a good thing. It's just not really something I can easily do with my current lifestyle and setup and everything. I water once a week, that's it, right? So yeah, let me just maybe open this one, and then we can see what the size really is like. Okay, so I think I did tell a bit of a lie there earlier, because I have some orchid bark. This is a new grade I'm trying. This is number 0, which is basically like ground up. I hope you can see this. This is ground up, very, very, very fine bark. I bought this just to see what it's like and what can do with it. I'm really not sure which plant would actually appreciate this. I feel like maybe this would be nice if you have like a more terrestrial orchid and you just want to mix something in to give the medium a bit of a fluffier structure. Yeah, not sure. I just wanted to see what it's like. And I also only bought 1 pack of it because I didn't know what it's like. Then here, this is kind of the grade number 1 that I was talking about. This is like these kind of fine bark granules that I really like as a top layer. And I also really like this one for seedlings, because the fine seedling roots don't really have the ability to hold on to bigger chunks of bark yet. And also this holds in just that little bit more moisture that seedlings like. So yeah, and as you can see, then 0 versus 1 is quite a big difference then size-wise, right? Then next, again, this is size number 1. This would be size number 2. I really like size number 2 as kind of an all-purpose bark. I like that there are different materials kind of in. It's not just the bark, but there's also almost a little bit of wood chips in here as well, and variation of the grade basically, or the size of particles. I think it's really great for root growth. I've seen that when I use bark, the plants really enjoy it and they root really well into the media. Yeah, it dries off also pretty quickly, so especially in the beginning this is a little water resistant. And then the last size that I kind of use regularly is number 3. So again, as a comparison, this is number 2 and on top is number 3. So this is much bigger, and I use this for plants where I feel like they might not be so happy with super wet roots, and these are my Lelia Amsep and the Cattleya walkeriana. So they get this really coarse bark to make sure there's really no chance of any root rot or anything. And I feel like if I use this bark, this super mega chunky bark, for example, with the Miltoniopsis, would probably just die. It would be like, no, we don't like this. So I think having these different grades of bark really helps me to cater the media that I make towards the needs of every plant that I have. So as I said, if I have a plant that needs a lot of hydration, I would use a smaller grade. And then for the ones that like it drier, I would use a bigger grade. Then other grades that they have are number 4. So this is number 3. And then on top we have number 4. This is, again, bigger parts, bigger pieces, less wood chips, less shredded stuff. This is extremely coarse and very dry. I have not really found a plant that I can grow in this under my conditions. The humidity in my flat is just way too low to allow me to use this. And then the last grade that I have is number 5. And I can't even get too many pieces of this in my hand because it's so chunky. So you can see below number 4, on top is number 5. So yeah, that is extremely chunky. And again, I don't really have a use for this right now. I just have it because I was curious to see what it's like, and I didn't have the chance to just look at it in person, so I just ordered it. It's not expensive. I think a pack this size, which is I think 3 kilograms, costs like €3 or something. So it's not super expensive, and yeah, it's just interesting. I feel like what I can maybe see myself using this for is to bulk up if I have like a big pot and I want to add some kind of a drainage layer on the bottom. I can see myself using this, but other than that, I don't know. Anyways, let's have a look at this package. These are, I've been talking to you about media, and this is some more media. This is flasking media. So I bought some, apparently for 1 liter. They don't really tell you the weight of this, so it's going to be a little adventurous to figure out how much to use of this. But anyway, so this is agar. This is for Cattleya, Epidendrum, and so on. And this one is for Phalaenopsis and Vandas. What is that even? Never heard of it. Sorry, I don't know that. I'm pretty sure the one I ordered was agar for Cattleyas, yes, for sure. But I thought the other one I ordered was just for sympodial orchids in general. And now it says for Phalaenopsis and Vanda, which I'm like,
I don't know. Die kenne ich nicht.
For those of you that are a bit confused right now, so this would be used to flask seedlings. So what that means is, so orchids are a bit different to other plants. While other plants package their seeds full with nutrients so that the embryo can just draw from these nutrients, what orchids do is they rely on mycorrhizal fungi, which would then start a symbiosis with the orchid seed and provide the nutrients that it needs in the beginning. However, if you grow at home and you have seedlings, you can't really provide these mycorrhizal fungi just like that. So what people do is they grow the orchid seeds on a complete nutrient medium that contains everything that the seedling would need until it can grow leaves to photosynthesize. Or as a friend of mine would say, synthesize. Basically what I'm planning to do is I want to try out some crosses that I do myself here, and also DLQ, he's another orchid channel here, is going to send me a seed pod of a Cattleya he has, and I'm just trying to see if I can use the aseptic technique that I've been taught all through my studies for something useful for once, right? I don't just want to understand the deeper meaning of coronavirus replication. Can I even say that anymore? I'm not sure. Of cannelloni virus replication. Maybe I want to do something that actually changes the world with this. And so I'm really interested in starting a longer term project on this channel, which is to look at flasking orchids and kind of growing them up. And I've tried out a few seedlings already. Like I got flasks from Röllke as I already mentioned earlier, and also got seedlings that were already kind of deflasked. And so far this has been going okay enough, I guess, and I'm really curious to see what else I can do. So yeah, this is kind of the big announcement, I guess. And for this I need the media, and all the rest I'm going to talk about at a later point when I have the other supplies all gathered. I already have a plan in my mind, but let's see. Anyway, so then I also got a few square pots because I don't really have a lot of space, and I figured square pots are much easier to arrange than round pots. So I didn't really know what sizes to get, so I just tried out a few, and I feel like they're all a little small, but yeah, let's see. I'm not sure if I'm gonna switch to square pots for all of the plants, but at least now I have them and I can kind of get an idea what size they are, because I feel like with the round pots it's very intuitive to think about how big they are, but with these square pots, for whatever reason, it's so much harder for me to imagine what size they would be. So I got these just to have a look. Got some tags that I can write myself, because now that I have the seedlings growing, it's always several plants. Once I separate them into pots, obviously they need to be labeled, because otherwise I will never know what they are. So I just got a few tags for this. I chose blue because it's a neutral color and I like it. And then, let's see. These are a few flasks that I got just to play with them a little bit. 3 Cattleyas, 1 Paphiopedilum. And I'm really curious to see how these are going to develop. So far, the only times I tried deflasking was, first of all, was an Oncidium siboletta, I think. That was before I started the channel. And that just died after a while. Most of the seedlings were fine. It was a big flask. I think there were 8 plants or so. And then all of the smaller ones kind of suddenly withered away when the summer heat rolled in. And then the other ones were doing really well and I loved them. But then I got a vacuum robot and I bumped into kind of the little table that they were sitting on. Then the plants dropped and it just vacuumed them up. I shouldn't laugh about this. But so those were goners, right? So, oops. Anyway, so then I got a Cattleya luteola and a Tolumnia hybrids, actually from Röllke, and those are doing fine, and I'll film the update at some point, promise. I think it's been 4 months now since they've been deflasked, so there's quite a bit of progress I can show, I guess. And now, as you know, I've been bitten by the Paphiopedilum bug. So I've been, like, my last haul was quite a few Paphiopedilums. There was another one I really wanted, but then again, I was like, I don't really have the space, and it's going to be a big plant, and yada, yada, yada. But then I saw Röllke, or Ecuagenera Europe, has a flask, actually, for the one I wanted. And I never know how to pronounce it. It's, let me just, ooh. Can you see? Oof, yeah, this happens sometimes when sterility is not really maintained. Anyways, so this is, I don't know if you can see this. This is Paphiopedilum suchaculii. I'm not sure if this is how you pronounce it, but usually if you have KH, that's right, so it should be suchaculii. Not 100% sure, sorry if I mispronounced it, never heard anyone say it. And then these are the plants. I'm a bit confused. I thought this is a mottled leaf Paphiopedilum. Maybe the modeling only develops later. Hopefully. I don't like non-mottled Paphiopedilums. I don't know why. It's like, I guess with like complex or intergeneric or whatever Cattleya hybrids, I just don't like them. I think it's like a little bit of this autistic thing where you're like, no, I want this, period. Anyways, this is Paphiopedilum suchaculii. Let's see. Then, this is another one, which I think I've been roasted for not having. This is Cattleya gascaliana. It's a species Cattleya, and yeah, this looks Like, it's really good, very clean agar. Nothing really grows in this aside from the plants, so it's very sterile still. And yeah, there are 4 very healthy looking plants in here, and I'm really happy with this one. Some really nice roots on the bottom. And so usually what I do with these flasks is I'll just have them sit closed. So if the sterility hasn't been breached, like for this one, I'll just leave them closed. Then they'll just sit here for a day or so they can really acclimatize. And then I open them to let them kind of get used to lower humidity, because in here, right, the humidity would be extremely high. It's probably like way above 90%. So, and my air here is like 40. So I let them acclimatize to this, and then once I feel like they're ready, which is whenever, right, I'll just take them and pot them up. Then this is something I've been asked about actually by a viewer. This is Lilia purpurata or Cattleya purpurata carnea. So it's one of the color forms I didn't have. And yeah, there you go. I told you that stay tuned for this one to arrive. And yeah, you asked me if I had this, and now I do. And I had already placed this order before. Again, this flask looks a little contaminated. A little. Oof. Yeah. I'm always a little scared of opening these flasks when they're contaminated, because I'm like, is it going to smell horrible? Because you never know, right? Because mold can have a horrible scent. And I always say, oh, my nose is like a GCMS. I have a very acute sense of smell, which, you know, with an organ like this, you would assume that's the case. Anyways, let's go to the next one. This is, again, a little sacrilegious. Like, if we go back a few months, I guess, I was sitting here, I was like, I hate bifoliate Cattleyas, they're disgusting. And then at some point I suddenly was like, you know what, Röllke Orchideen has this amethystoglossa aurea and I really want it. And then Stephen Van Campen Lewis actually commented on my video and was like, oh, you know, the bifoliate bug has gotten to you. Now I'm like, let me just unbox little flasks I got of Cattleya violacea, which I'm like, bifoliate Cattleya. Drama. Yeah, I don't know this one. This one seems a little juicy as well. But let's see. This is, I hope you can see this, Cattleya violacea cerulean. This looks really nice. And I feel like of all the color forms, the cerulean really spoke to me. I feel like the tipo is a bit boring. There are some really nice flammeas as well, and actually Ecuagenera Europe has also, I think is this a semi-alba flammea or is it a flammea? Not 100% sure, but they have another violacea as a flask available, which is really exciting, I think. So yeah, this is my haul, media and flasks, and yeah, thanks all for watching. I feel like it might have been a little rambly at times, but I feel like this is just what this channel is turning into. And yeah, with all of that said, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you later. Boom.